Hello everyone, welcome to practice. My name's Sam if we haven't met before. Today's class is going to be a beginner-focused balance practice. When we balance in the yoga practice, it can be overwhelming, especially if you are newer to the practice. One of the things that's really important is this word Drishti. So Drishti can be as simple as your gaze, focusing your gaze when it comes towards balance. But if we think about that a little bit deeper, beyond the gaze, it's a focus of awareness and a concentration of energy. So we're going to work to find our drishti throughout the practice, to focus our awareness and to concentrate our energy. If you do have two blocks, they will come in handy for today's practice. And when you're ready, we'll get right into it. So see if you can come towards a kneeling position. If that's not comfortable, take a block, put it underneath your bottom and find a cross-legged seat. We're going to first find a balance in our energy, a balance in our breath, and then work to find our drishti. So find a seat that is comfortable, sit up nice and tall, rest your hands where they're comfortable, set your eyes down for just a moment, and come into a natural rhythm of breathing. Letting the inhales start to lengthen out a little more. And your exhales take a little more time than that. And I want you to imagine for a moment you were trying to focus your energy to the space between your brows. In yoga practice, we refer to this space as Ajna center, or your third eye. A space reserved for a higher awareness and deeper thoughts. See if you can imagine, even with your eyes closed, that you had a third eye between the brows, and that you were focusing all your awareness and all your energy right there. So that you could almost see even with the eyes shut. And as we come into this single point of focus, we let the eyes, the physical eyes, shut down. We allow the breath to lengthen. We prepare the mind, the body, and the breath for practice. Last breath in. Let it out. Nice work. From this space, just start to blink your eyes open. Now, whilst I'm facing the camera, I'm going to work as your mirror. So take the right fingertips, let them rest down along the right side of the body, and reach the left arm up towards the sky. I'm going to use the inhale to lengthen and reach the arm up a little higher. On the exhale, you're going to start to bend off towards the right-hand side. Now, you're using that right hand to stop you from completely falling, so you're finding a little bit of length through the right side of the body, also the left, of course. Maybe you look under the left armpit, take an inhale. And then exhale, shift back through center, and we'll swap. Left hand will ground down, right arm will rise up. Inhale. Exhale, take the right hand over towards the left-hand side. Breathing deeper into the right-hand side of the body, using the left hand to push you away from the floor, giving you length through both sides of the body. Take an inhale. Nice work. As you come back through center, we're just going to prepare the body for downward facing dog. So come via hands and knees first. If you can, grip the mat a little with the fingertips, keep the toes tucked under. We'll find a cow pose, so soften the belly, pull the chest forwards, gaze rises, breathe in. Exhale, pull the chin to chest, tuck and round, but send the hips back towards the heels here. little more space underneath the bottom of the foot. Inhale, cow pose. Maybe close the eyes, find the Drishti without the physical eyes. Exhale, tuck and round, send the hips back to heels. One more time like that, inhaling. Exhale, we'll send the hips back towards the heels. If you can this time, press into the hands a little more. See if the knees can rise off the mat. Of course, throughout the practice, there will be points where we are balancing on the feet and one foot in particular. So we really want to wake up and feel that connection, especially underneath all 10 of the toes. So keep pressing. Feel the hips move back. Feel those knees rising. Take an inhale. Let it go. And we'll allow the hips to start to rise. You pedal out through the feet when you get there, just to feel your way into the back of the legs. We try to find a balance here with both hands and both feet grounding onto the mat. Once you feel stable, make sure the back of the neck is nice and long. Maybe move it from side to side. Feel the hips rising a little higher. Take another breath. From here, we'll rise up higher onto the toes. Just start to walk slowly towards the top of the mat, delivering the feet between the hands. And this is where your blocks come in handy. If you have them, just catch hold. We're going to pop them underneath the hands here. And just set them in front of the feet. Take an inhale, lift your chest up halfway, spine is long. Exhale, fold heavy over the thighs. Bend into the knees, catch the elbows, take a little sway from side to side and just move around at the feet. So leaning forward, you feel the toes bite into the mat a little more. Leaning back, the heels bite into the mat. And shifting a little bit of weight from side to side. So the inside edges of the feet, the outside edges of the feet all start to calibrate and connect a little deeper to the earth beneath you. If you're still feeling tension and tightness in the back of the neck, interlace the fingers. Maybe for a moment, a breath or two, you take the hands to the base or the back of the skull, just to allow the back of the neck to lengthen a little more. And we'll release the elbows or the back of the head. We're going to take a block and start to rise up towards standing. Now when we get there, that block is going to go between the thighs. Just pop it on the skinniest side if you can. You come to find Tadasana and feel the energy of the thighs drawing towards each other to allow a little more activation through the legs. Again, close the eyes, find your Drishti, find your balance as we did at the beginning of practice. So when we make our way through the balancing practice, we find an element of Tadasana or mountain pose, where we are right now, in all of our standing postures, in all of our balance. So there will be an element of this Tadasana in all the shapes we make. From here, I encourage you for a moment just to blink your eyes open if not already. Keep hugging that block. We're just going to lean a little bit of weight into the left foot. Again, I'm acting as your mirror. See if you can flex the right toes towards the face and just lift the right foot off the mat. Find your focal point, your gaze, your Drishti out in front of you. Just let your arms rest down by the side and feel that calibration under the left foot. So notice what would happen right now if you were to dart your eyes and move your head around the room. No doubt the balance would become a little more challenging. If you keep your gaze steady, you'll be able to find the balance a little easier. Soften the right foot down, lean a little more weight into that right leg, flex the left toes towards you. Now we lift the left foot off the mat. Again, trying to keep that gaze steady. Again, you can test, you can move the eyes around the room, you can see what happens. It'll become a little more challenging to balance. Try to keep your focus. Try to concentrate that awareness. We'll set the feet flat. Nice one. Inhale, let the arms rise over the head. This time I'm going to take the right hand, let it catch hold of the left wrist. The inhale is going to pull the left arm up. As we exhale, let the hips move to the left as the arms bend off to the right hand side. So you're really letting the hips and the hands move in opposition here. Keeping the gaze steady, we'll lean a little more weight into the left foot. See if you can hover the right foot off the mat. Keep your focus. Keep your drishti. But be okay if you stumble. Be okay if you fall. That's part of the practice. Last breath. And come back through center. Set the right foot down and we'll swap. Left hand will catch hold of the right wrist. Inhale to go up. Exhale, hips move to right. Arms move off to the left hand side. Trying to still keep the chest lifted. Hips and shoulders, chest all square to the front of the room. Maybe you lean a little more weight into the right foot, the left toes lift off the mat. Keeping that focus, that steady gaze. Remember, it's okay to fall. It's all part of the practice. Not everything is perfect. Last breath. Exhale, we let the feet soften down, take the arms down. Nice work. From the top of your mat, inhale, circle the arms up nice and high. Exhale, we'll fold over the thighs. When you get there, you can remove your blocks. Just set them off either side of the mat. We'll get to those in a moment. Take a halfway lift on the inhale, let the spine lengthen. Then we're going to step back towards a plank. Set the palms down, let the knees drop down for just a moment to set up the plank. Hands underneath the shoulders, you're pushing away from the floor, gripping the mat with the fingertips. Use an exhale to draw the navel in. Then as you step the feet back, imagine you still had a block between your thighs. That's going to give you a little more activation through the legs there. Heels press back, chest moves forward. We're balancing right here. Both hands and both feet are grounding, but you best believe we're using a lot of effort to keep in this position. You're gripping the mat below you with the fingers, like you're trying to suck up the energy from the earth below you to keep those arms firing. Take a breath. As we exhale, lean forward, bend the elbows, we lower slowly onto the belly. Press tops of the feet down as you roll the shoulder blades back and lift the chest. The knees are lifting off the mat. The toes are staying grounded, the top of the toes, that is, as the crown of the head reaches forwards, the back of the neck lifts to the ceiling. Take an inhale. Exhale, we lower the head down. One more time, inhale. From here, press up on to hands and knees. Tuck the toes under, we'll lift the hips up and back. When you arrive there, shuffle the right foot a little closer to the left. We're going to reach the left leg up towards the sky. Keeping it straight, we're going to start to roll the hip open. What that means is the pelvis will start to turn to the left-hand side of the room. It's like you were trying to take your left pinky toe up towards the ceiling. If there's space, maybe your right heel can get a little closer to the floor. So what's happening here is your right hip is externally rotating to allow the left hip to stack on top. Maybe your left leg lifts a lot, maybe it lifts a little. It doesn't really matter right now. You're doing your best to keep the shoulders square to the front of the room. The left shoulder's going to lift up a little naturally. That's cool. All good. Take one last breath. Exhale, we'll soften the left foot down. Nice one. Little shake out. And then we'll move left foot a little closer to right. Inhale, the right leg will rise up. We'll keep it straight. Roll the hip open. Now the pelvis turns to the right-hand side of the room. The right pinky toe lifts up to the ceiling. Maybe you spread the toes a little wider. You'd be okay if that right shoulder lifts a little higher. Don't be married to the idea that the shoulders need to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. That's why they call it the yoga practice. Take a breath. Exhale, soften the right foot down. Nice work. My legs and arms are on fire. I hope yours are too. Lift the heels high. Start to walk slowly forwards towards the top of the mat. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, we fold over the side. And roll up towards standing. Nice and easy. Once you arrive at the top, again, when I'm facing you, I'm working as your mirror. So one of the things that happens quite a lot, I see new students coming towards balance, they get really excited to look down at their feet before they prepare for balance. Now, most likely your feet look exactly the same now as they did when you woke up this morning. So take a look at them now if you need to. Great. Once you know what they look like, we don't need to look at them anymore, because we're going to keep our drishti at eye level. Where the gaze goes, the energy tends to flow. So if you can keep your gaze at eye level, keep the crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling, it's going to give you a little more chance to stay upright. We're going to balance on the left leg here and start to bring the right knee in towards the chest. Once we lift a leg in balance, we want the foot to be active, so flex the foot, and then start to open the right knee out to the right-hand side of the room. You can see I'm just resting my hands at my chest here for a moment. It's all good. Now, without looking, you're going to reach the right arm down, see if you can catch the right ankle, and then place the right foot on the inside of the left thigh, working for vrikshasana or tree pose. Once you feel stable, you let the chest rise, maybe press the palms together in front of you. Keeping gaze super steady. If that feels okay, maybe you let the arms rise up and overhead. If you feel comfortable, you wanted to take it a little further, your right hand could catch hold of your left wrist. The inhale could reach the left arm up. The exhale could start to bend you off to the right-hand side just a little bit. Left leg's in Tadasana. Imagine you had a block between the left thigh and the right foot. Keep the left thigh flexing and engaged, the right knee opening out to the right-hand side of the room. Last inhale. Exhale, we come back through center. We let the arms soften down. We let the leg soften down. Give it a shake out. Roll over the feet. Crack the toes if you need to. Whatever you need to do to recalibrate. Nice work. If along the way you stumbled, you fell, great. Fantastic. That's what we learn from. We learn from the stumbles, we learn from the wobbles. It's all part of the practice. Do me a favor. If you're close to a wall, move away from it. Give yourself some free space. If your mind knows it has a safety net, it's always going to reach for it. If you allow yourself to be a little bit vulnerable, be a little bit scared in the middle of the room, that's okay. It's all part of the practice. I'm going to balance on the right foot now. Keep the gaze steady. Bring the left knee to chest. Flex the toes up towards the ceiling. If that feels comfortable, reach down without looking. Oh, my apologies. We'll open the left knee out to the left-hand side first, and then reach down without looking. Catch hold of the ankle, set the foot inside the right thigh. Palms compressed together at heart. Maybe the elbows rise, the chest rises a little bit higher. Some activity through that right thigh. And we let the arms rise over the head. If you're taking it further, left hand will catch hold of the right wrist. The inhale, lift the right arm up. Exhale will take the arms over to the left-hand side of the room. Just gently. Keep the breath steady. Take one last breath in. The exhale, bring your torso back through center, lower your arms down, lower your legs down. Again, a little shake out there. Nice work. You're going to set up those blocks towards the top of the mat if they're not there already. What we're going to do is set up for one of my favorite poses, Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. This is a standing, one-legged, open hip balance. It's a similar shape to when we're in the downward facing dog. We lifted a leg in the air, and then we opened the hip. I like to get there with lots of support. That's why we've got 2 blocks on the highest height, hip width distance apart. We're going to use those to allow us to move into the pose slowly, with control, and with a focus of energy and a concentration of awareness. So just fold over the thighs, nice and easy, and take your hands towards your blocks. Lift the chest up halfway as we breathe in, spine is long. We're going to shuffle the right foot to the center. So with 2 blocks and your right foot creates the shape of a triangle.
Then set the heels together, turning the left toes out towards the left-hand side of the room. So we're going to do our best to keep that right foot exactly where it is, and we're going to keep the left toes in this orientation out towards the left-hand side. Now, as you lift up halfway, block that's underneath the right hand is going to slide out just a little more. I know there's a lot of instructions, but if we do them together, we do them mindfully, it'll give us a little extra support. Right leg and right foot are going to stay exactly where they are. We're just going to lift the left leg in the air and take it back behind us. So just like when we were in the one-legged downward facing dog, the right hip, that's the grounded hip, is externally rotating or opening to allow the left hip to stack on top. You might lift onto the left fingertips if that feels comfortable. You might take your left hand towards your left hip. Now, I would encourage you to keep your drishti, your gaze, just down the inside of the right foot. A little bit harder once you shift the gaze. Flex the left toes towards you. Try to wrap the left shoulder to stack on top of the right. If this feels comfortable, we start to slowly extend the left arm up towards the ceiling. Keep the breath steady. If you feel comfortable and you want to challenge yourself, you could start to shift your gaze slowly off towards the left-hand side of the room. Just see what happens there with the balance. Again, it's a little bit tricky. Learn from the wobbles. Allow yourself to fall if you need to. Feel the fire in the right leg. Take one last inhale. Hold for the breath out. Then slowly land the left foot next to the right. We're going to come up towards stand and shake out the legs. My golly gosh. Well done. That is a super challenging pose. If you gave it your best effort, whether you fell or you didn't, that's absolutely a win. Thank goodness that is done, but unfortunately we have to do it again on the opposite leg. I'll just flip myself around so I'm not facing my back towards you. Setting those blocks down, hip width distance apart, shuffling your left foot towards the center, heels to touch, right toes turn out towards the right hand side of the room. Block that's in the left hand is going to shift out just a little further in front. You're going to start to pick up the right leg, just lift it up and back behind you. Right toes are turning out to the right hand side of the room. Standing hip, the grounding hip, left hip is externally rotating. Maybe lift onto the right fingertips to allow the hip to lift a little bit higher. Maybe from there, right hand finds the right hip. You try to wrap the right shoulder to stack on top of the left. If you feel the chest, the pelvis turning to the right hand side of the room, maybe you reach the right arm up. Remember to keep your drishti steady. If you want to challenge the balance, maybe you start to turn the gaze slowly. Take a breath in. Hold for the exhale. Gently land the right foot next to the left. Come on up to stand. Wow. Rest a hand over the heart for a moment. As you roll over the toes, you roll over the ankles, you shake out the legs. Fantastic work. Give yourself a chance to really shake out the legs. And then shuffle the feet out a little wider. Let the toes be wider than the heels. We're just going to bend the knees until we lower down towards a malasana, a low yogi squat. Elbows inside the thighs for a moment, palms pressed together. Elbows are trying to move the thighs away from each other. The thighs are trying to squeeze back in on the elbows to allow the palms to descend and the chest to ascend. Absolutely working to find balance in our body here, a balance in our breath. And then nice and easy, we are going to sit the hips down onto the floor. So you might like to use your hands for support, just to set the bottom down, extend the legs out long in front, give them a chance to shake out. Nice work. Then finding a comfortable seat, you might like to prop your hips up onto a block just to allow yourself to rise a little bit higher.
as this is a balance practice, we are going to end the same way we began, with a balance of our energy, a balance of our breath. Now, unfortunately, as we do start to age, balance is one of those things that tends to go a little bit. Those small stabilizer muscles, they tend to get used a little bit less and less. They require a little more of our motor skills to control. So as we start to get older, it is important that we do work on our balance quite a lot more. So use this practice as a chance to revisit. Remember, the balance doesn't just come from standing on one leg. It comes from balancing the energy, balancing the breath, concentrating the awareness, and focusing your gaze. That gaze can come with the eyes closed to the Drishti. So set the eyes down. Allow the breath to slow. Focus the awareness to the space between the brows. If you want to take that awareness a little bit deeper, you could almost imagine that both of your physical eyes were trying to look up to that space between your brows with the physical eyes closed. So it would almost be like you were making almost like a cross-eyed position, but with an upward look as well. Remember, my friends, it all starts with the connection and an awareness to the breath. Inhale. Let it out. Thank you so much for allowing yourself the time to make your way through this balancing practice. Always a chance to revisit. Always a guide or a gauge to come back to, not to compare. Maybe just to see where we're at. As always, I thank you. I look forward to seeing you again. Peace.